A book may seem like just paper and words. We open it, read the lines, and sometimes close it quickly. But behind the words, there is a world waiting to speak to our hearts. Books are mirrors of the soul. They reflect our fears, our dreams, and the questions we carry inside. When we read, we do more than understand a story. We begin to understand ourselves. Take The Alchemist, for example. On the surface, it is a story about a young shepherd named Santiago searching for treasure. But beneath the journey, there is a lesson about life, courage, and following your heart. Here, ignorance and wisdom stand opposite each other. Ignorance is staying in comfort, never asking questions, never listening to your own dreams. Wisdom is the courage to learn, to listen, and to seek meaning. Each sentence in a book can open a small door in your mind. Learning English through stories is also a journey. Each word is a step toward understanding not just a language, but new ideas. On my YouTube channel, Read and Learn English, we explore stories like this together. You will practice English while exploring courage, patience, and reflection. You learn phrases, grammar, and rhythm naturally, without feeling like a classroom. You see how words can carry emotion, how sentences can guide thought, and how simple words can teach big truths. Books invite us to pause, reflect, and imagine. They ask us to notice the contrasts in life: fear and courage, confusion and clarity, silence and understanding. They help us ask questions like, what is my treasure? What am I afraid of? How can I act with wisdom? These questions teach both life lessons and English skills. In this series on Read and Learn English, we will travel together with stories and wisdom. We will see how simple English can carry deep meaning. We will learn words, phrases, and ideas while reflecting on life's truths. Your mind will open, your heart will listen, and your English will grow. Let us begin this journey of words and wisdom, step by step, with patience, curiosity, and calm attention. The journey begins, listening to the call of dreams. Life feels simple. We wake up, follow our routine, and feel safe. This is comfort. It is easy, familiar, and quiet. But comfort can also be a trap. It stops us from growing. It keeps dreams in our heart without letting them breathe. Santiago, the young shepherd and the alchemist, felt this same pull. Every day he cared for his sheep. Every day he walked the same paths, looked at the same hills, and felt safe. But deep inside, something whispered to him. A dream, a hope, a question. Is this all there is? The moment we hear this inner whisper is called the call to adventure. It is the start of every great journey. At first, it is small and soft, almost invisible. We may ignore it. We may say, no, it is too risky. I am fine where I am. But ignoring it is choosing safety over life. Listening to it is choosing courage. The world of adventure waits only when we take the first step. Santiago faced this choice. Should he stay with his familiar life, or should he trust the dream of a treasure far away? Here, comfort and adventure are like two roads. The road of comfort is smooth, with little challenge. The road of adventure is uncertain, rocky, and sometimes frightening. Yet, the difficult road holds growth, wisdom, and discovery. A short Stoic lesson reminds us, the obstacle is the way. Obstacles are not just problems. They are signals. They tell us we are on the right path. They test courage. They teach patience, resilience, and understanding. Santiago learned this as he left the fields and crossed deserts. Each step was uncertain, but each step was real learning. This lesson is not only for life, but also for learning English. Comfort in language means using words we already know, reading texts that are easy, and avoiding speaking in front of others. Adventure in language is trying new words, reading stories with unfamiliar ideas, and speaking even when we feel nervous. Every small effort is a step forward. Every mistake is a lesson. Every new word learned is a treasure. The fear of failure is natural, but courage grows when we act anyway. Just as Santiago discovered that the journey itself taught him more than the treasure, English learners discover that the process of trying, failing, and trying again is where real growth happens. Adventure also teaches patience. Santiago could not reach the treasure immediately. He faced many challenges, deserts, strangers, and self-doubt. But every challenge helped him learn about the world, about people, and about himself. In English, this is the same. At first, words are slow, sentences feel long, pronunciation seems difficult. But patience turns each small practice into steady progress. One day, the words that were hard before will become easy. One day, sentences that felt impossible will flow naturally. The journey is as important as the goal. Stories and dreams also remind us to trust ourselves. Santiago did not know the exact path. He did not know the dangers ahead. Yet he believed in the signs, in his heart, and in the lessons he learned along the way. Trust is key. In learning English, trust that your effort matters. Trust that each mistake is a step forward. Trust that each conversation, each sentence read, each word written brings you closer to your goal. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is moving forward in spite of fear. Reflection is another gift of the journey. Santiago often paused to think. He watched the stars, he listened to nature, and he understood that his path was connected to something greater. As learners, we can do the same. After reading a paragraph, pause and reflect. After speaking, think about what worked and what can improve. Reflection makes the journey meaningful. It turns simple practice into learning with wisdom. It is not only about knowing English, but also about knowing ourselves, our dreams, and our courage. The call to adventure is an invitation. It whispers to the heart and asks for action. It asks for courage, curiosity, and trust. It challenges us to leave what is safe and to explore what is possible. Santiago teaches us that every journey begins with a small step. Every dream begins with listening to that quiet voice inside. Every new skill, every new word, every new experience begins when we say yes to life. So take a moment now. Listen. What is your call to adventure? Is it learning a new word today? Speaking in English for the first time? Reading a story you did not understand before? Every step is part of your journey. Fear will be there. Comfort will try to hold you back. But courage, patience, and trust will guide you forward. Like Santiago, each small choice to move beyond comfort is a treasure on its own. Each effort shapes your mind, your heart, and your language. And as we continue this journey together, step by step, you will discover not only new words and sentences, but also new strength, new understanding, and new possibilities in life. The treasure within, knowing yourself before chasing the world. It seems natural to look outside for treasure. We see people who are successful, rich, or confident, and we think, if I have what they have, I will be happy. This is a common mistake. We often chase the wrong things because we do not know our true purpose. Santiago, The young shepherd in The Alchemist believed that treasure was a distant hidden gold. He traveled across deserts, cities, and rivers, searching for something he could see with his eyes. But soon, he learned that the real treasure is often inside us. Confusion is easy. When we are unsure who we are, what we want, or why we act, every choice becomes difficult. We may follow advice from others, copy someone else's path, or try to chase popular goals. But clarity changes everything. Clarity comes when we pause and ask ourselves honest questions. Who am I? What do I value? What makes my heart feel alive? Socrates, the ancient philosopher, said simply, "Know thyself." These 3 words carry a deep truth. Understanding ourselves gives direction to our actions, focus to our efforts, and meaning to our journey. Santiago's journey teaches us the same lesson. Each time he stopped to listen to his heart, he discovered more about himself. He learned which fears were real and which were imagined. He learned which desires were true and which were distractions. The treasure he sought in distant lands helped him realize that the inner journey, understanding his own heart and dreams, was as important as the gold itself. When we know ourselves, we act with purpose. We do not wander aimlessly. We follow a path that feels right, even if it is difficult. In English learning, the same principle applies. Before chasing random methods or copying every tip online, take a moment to know your goals. Do you want to speak English confidently with friends? Do you want to read books in English easily? Or do you want to express your thoughts clearly in writing? Knowing this helps you choose the right practice, the right words, and the right habits. Without clarity, learning can feel confusing and slow. With clarity, every sentence you read, every word you speak, and every exercise you do has purpose. Reflection is the key to finding clarity. Santiago often reflected on his choices. He listened to omens, observed the world, and thought deeply about his experiences. Reflection helps us notice patterns in our life. We see which actions bring us joy and which bring frustration. We understand our strengths and weaknesses. This is true in learning English too. After reading a story, pause. Think about the new words. Notice how the sentences flow. After speaking, reflect on your pronunciation and rhythm. Reflection transforms practice into meaningful progress. Understanding ourselves also builds confidence. When we know our values and goals, we stop comparing ourselves to others. We stop feeling lost in the noise of advice, trends, or expectations. Santiago knew his heart's desire, and this knowledge gave him courage to continue, even when the desert was long and the journey difficult. For English learners, clarity creates confidence. When you know why you study, you can face challenges with calm determination. Mistakes are no longer failures, they are steps toward your goal. True treasure is not just gold, money, or recognition. It is understanding who we are, what we want, and how to act with purpose. The world outside is full of lessons, but the journey inward, to our heart, our values, and our dreams, is where real wisdom lives. Santiago's story teaches us that life becomes simpler when we stop chasing random things and start seeking our true path. So, take a moment today. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What is my treasure? Write it down if you can. Think about your dreams and goals in English learning and in life. Align your actions with your inner clarity. Each small decision guided by purpose is like a step toward treasure. Each reflection sharpens understanding. And as we continue this journey together, step by step, you will discover that the real riches are not in distant lands, but in the heart that knows itself and the mind that grows with every careful choice. The desert of doubt, facing fear and failure. Doubt feels heavy. It slows our steps, clouds our mind, and makes the world seem uncertain. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, experienced this many times during his journey. When he crossed the desert, the sun burned hot, water was scarce, and the path ahead seemed endless. He wondered, am I making the right choice? Will I find the treasure? Or have I left everything for nothing? This is the desert of doubt. It is a place we all enter when we chase dreams or learn something new. Fear is natural. It tells us to stop, to stay safe, to return to comfort. But courage is moving forward despite fear. Santiago had to learn this lesson again and again. Each step in the desert tested him. Each challenge made him stronger. He realized that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the path. Every mistake, every wrong turn, every moment of doubt teaches us something essential. Without fear and failure, growth is impossible. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. This lesson is simple, but profound. We cannot control storms, deserts, or people's actions. We cannot control every difficulty in life or every mistake we make in learning. But we can control our thoughts, our choices, and our reactions. Santiago learned to stay calm, observe carefully, and act with intention. Even when the desert seemed endless, he found strength in his mind and heart. In learning English, the desert of doubt appears often. We may fear speaking in front of others, writing incorrectly, or misunderstanding a text. We may feel that progress is slow, or that we will never reach fluency. These fears are normal. They are like the scorching sun or the endless sand in the desert. But courage is taking the next word, the next sentence, or the next conversation anyway. Every error is a lesson. Every hesitation is an opportunity to practice patience and reflection. Like Santiago, we learn to embrace the journey instead of fearing it. Facing fear also teaches resilience. Santiago could not avoid the challenges in the desert. He could not choose an easier path. He had to endure heat, uncertainty, and long walks. Yet, with each step, he gained confidence. His mind grew stronger. He learned that fear is a signal, not a barrier. It tells us that we are moving toward something meaningful. In English learning, this is the same. Feeling nervous before speaking or writing shows that we are growing. Feeling confused when reading a story shows that our mind is stretching. Resilience comes from noticing fear, understanding it, and acting anyway. Failure is not a punishment. It is a teacher. Santiago sometimes made mistakes in judgment. He misread omens. He doubted himself. But each failure gave him new understanding. He learned which signs to trust, how to make better decisions, and how to stay focused on his dream. In life and English learning, this is vital. Mispronounced words, wrong grammar, or misunderstood phrases are not failures. They are steps toward mastery. Each attempt, whether successful or not, adds knowledge, strengthens memory, and builds confidence. Reflection after failure is key. Santiago often paused in the desert to think about what he had done and what he could do next. Reflection allows us to turn mistakes into wisdom. In English, after a conversation or writing exercise, reflect. What worked? What can improve? What new words or ideas did you learn? Reflection is the bridge between fear and growth, between failure and skill. The desert of doubt teaches patience, courage, and inner power. It shows that fear is temporary and learning is eternal. Santiago's journey reminds us that every moment of doubt carries hidden lessons. Every challenge is a chance to practice calmness and resilience. Every failure hides a step toward mastery. So, when doubt appears, welcome it. When fear rises, acknowledge it and act anyway. When mistakes happen, reflect and learn. Your mind has power. Your heart has courage. And each small step you take, even in uncertainty, brings you closer to your treasure, in life, in wisdom, and in English. The desert is not a place to stop. It is a place to grow. Signs, symbols, and the language of the universe. Life seems random. We see events, people, and words, but often we do not notice the meaning behind them. We walk through our day blind to the lessons all around us. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, learned that the world speaks in subtle ways. The wind, the stars, the people he met, they all carried messages. These messages are called omens. Omens are signs that guide us if we are aware. Without attention, they are invisible. With awareness, they reveal wisdom. Blindness is common. We may rush, ignore small details, or think that life is only what we see on the surface. Awareness, however, changes everything. When Santiago learned to read omens, he began to understand the world more clearly. A bird flying in a certain way, a word from a stranger, or the pattern of the desert winds, all became teachers. Confusion transformed into understanding. What seemed random became meaningful. The universe had a quiet language, and he was learning to listen. Ancient philosophers also emphasized this lesson. They taught that life is full of lessons if we pay attention. Marcus Aurelius wrote about observing life carefully and finding meaning in small details. Awareness is not only about seeing, it is about listening, reflecting, and noticing patterns. Every small observation adds to understanding. Every quiet moment of attention brings clarity. In English learning, this idea is very useful. Words on a page are more than letters. Each word carries meaning, emotion, and tone. Sentences have rhythm and feeling beyond grammar. When we read a story, we can listen for these subtle signs. How does a character feel? What is the tone of the conversation? How do words connect to the message? These are like omens in language, hints that guide understanding. Reading without awareness is like walking blind. Reading with attention transforms confusion into comprehension. Awareness also helps in speaking and listening. When we talk to others, the tone of voice, pauses, and choice of words give information. Some people may smile while saying something harsh, or frown while saying something kind. If we are blind, we miss these signs. If we are aware, we understand deeper meaning. Santiago learned to read small signs in people's behavior to know if he could trust them. In English learning, we learn to read context and intention in the same way. Awareness makes communication clear and meaningful. The world teaches with small symbols every day. A friendly gesture may be a sign to trust someone. A challenge may signal that growth is coming. A repeated word in a story may highlight a lesson. Santiago noticed the patterns in the desert and in people, and this guided his journey. In learning, noticing repetition, word patterns and connections helps us understand faster and remember longer. Mindful attention is the bridge between knowledge and wisdom. Reflection is part of awareness. After observing a sign, Santiago thought, "What does this mean? How should I act?" This reflection transforms observation into action. In English, after noticing a new word, phrase, or sentence structure, we can reflect, "How can I use this? Where does it fit?" This reflection deepens learning and links language to life understanding. Without reflection, signs are easy to ignore. With reflection, small observations lead to big progress. Awareness also strengthens patience. Sometimes omens are unclear. Sometimes the meaning comes slowly. Santiago learned to wait, observe, and understand over time. English learning is similar. Not every word or sentence is clear immediately. Some lessons take time to understand. Patience and attention together create growth. Every step, every observation, and every reflection adds to wisdom and skill. The world is full of hidden messages, if we choose to see. Life is not random. Words, actions, and events all carry meaning. Santiago's story reminds us that when we are aware, we can transform confusion into clarity, blindness into understanding, and fear into confident action. The universe speaks. Our task is to listen carefully, reflect, and act with wisdom. In English, the same applies. Listen to context, read with attention, and speak with awareness. Language, like life, grows when we are mindful. So, as we continue our journey, pay attention to the signs around you. Notice small details in stories, conversations, and life. Reflect on their meaning. Every word, every sentence, every action carries a lesson. Awareness is the key to understanding both the world and English. Through careful listening, observation, and reflection, confusion becomes clarity, and every small sign becomes a guide on the path of learning and life. Love, connection, and the soul of the world. Love can feel like a distraction. We think it may slow us down, confuse our purpose, or make the journey more difficult. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, felt this tension when he met Fatima, the woman of the desert. He wondered, if I stay with her, will I reach my treasure? If I leave, will I ever return? Many of us face a similar choice. Life often asks us to balance our personal dreams with the bonds we form with others. Isolation is easy. It feels safe. We can focus only on ourselves and avoid the risks of connection. But connection, love, friendship, and kindness is the soul of the world. Santiago learned an important lesson. Love is not a barrier. It is a guide. Fatima did not stop him from following his dream. She supported him, understood his purpose, and encouraged him to pursue his journey. Love can act in the same way for us. When we connect with others with care and honesty, it helps us grow. Empathy and kindness are not weaknesses. They are forms of strength. They show us the heart's wisdom and teach us how to live fully. As Rumi wrote, lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along. True connection is not just about being with someone physically. It is about feeling, understanding, and sharing the journey of life. Isolation may make us focus on personal goals, but it can also blind us to the wisdom around us. Santiago discovered that the world is alive with life, lessons, and guidance. People are messengers of knowledge and experience. The connection we make with them teaches more than solitude ever could. Stories, gestures, and words carry meaning, and when we open our hearts to others, we discover the soul of the world, the invisible thread that links all beings. In learning English, This idea is deeply useful. Language itself is a connection. Every word we speak, every sentence we write, every story we read bridges hearts across cultures. Isolation in language learning, studying alone without communicating, may give some knowledge, but real growth comes when we connect. Speaking with friends, asking questions, listening to stories, and sharing ideas in English opens our mind to understanding beyond words. We learn not only vocabulary and grammar, but also empathy, tone, and cultural feeling. Connection turns learning into living. Classical literature reminds us of the power of connection. From Pride and Prejudice to The Little Prince, stories show that understanding others, caring for them, and forming relationships reveal life's deeper truths. Santiago's story is no different. His love for Fatima strengthened his purpose, gave him courage, and taught him patience. Connection does not take away from the journey, it enriches it. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every shared smile adds meaning to our life and to our learning. Empathy is a skill as much as love is a feeling. When we try to understand another person's perspective, we expand our mind. We notice subtle signs in words, expressions, and actions. Santiago learned to read people, nature, and the world because he cared. In English, empathy helps us understand reading, listening, and speaking more deeply. It teaches us to feel the emotion behind the text, the tone in speech, and the intention of the writer or speaker. Without empathy, language is empty. With empathy, words become bridges of connection. The journey of life, like Santiago's journey, is never meant to be traveled alone. Connection, love, and kindness are not distractions, they are guidance. They teach us about patience, courage, and understanding. They remind us that the heart and mind grow together. In learning English, every conversation, every shared story, and every act of communication strengthens both language and emotional intelligence. Words become more than grammar. They become the voice of connection. So, let us embrace connection. Let us listen with care, speak with honesty, and act with kindness. Let us understand that love and friendship are part of the journey, not obstacles. Like Santiago, we can pursue our dreams while holding others in our hearts. The soul of the world is alive in our relationships, in our empathy, and in the bonds we form. And as we continue our journey, we will see that language, love, and wisdom are not separate. They are intertwined, guiding us to grow, connect, and live fully with courage, patience, and heart. The alchemy of change, turning pain into power. Pain feels like weakness. It slows us down, makes our heart heavy, and sometimes makes the world feel unfair. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, faced many painful moments on his journey. He lost comfort, faced danger, and experienced doubt. At times he felt weak and tired. But over time, he realized something powerful. Pain is not just suffering, it is a teacher. The difficult moments in life carry lessons that can transform us into stronger, wiser people. This is the essence of alchemy, the art of turning something ordinary into something precious. Weakness is natural. We all feel it when things go wrong, when dreams seem far away, or when our effort does not seem to work. Santiago felt weak when he crossed deserts, when strangers doubted him, and when the treasure seemed unreachable. But strength is not the absence of weakness. Strength is learning from it, facing it, and moving forward. Stoic philosophers remind us that our mind has power over our perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Pain and difficulty are outside events. How we respond is inside our control. Strength grows when we choose to respond with courage, patience, and reflection. The alchemy of change happens when we see difficulty as a guide. Santiago learned to observe his hardships carefully. Every obstacle carried meaning. Each mistake taught him about himself, the world, and his path. This transformation, turning challenges into knowledge, fear into courage, and pain into wisdom, is like turning lead into gold. Life's hardships refine us. They remove weakness, sharpen understanding, and strengthen character. The same principle applies to learning English. English learning can feel painful at times. Difficult words, confusing grammar, and misunderstood sentences may frustrate us. Speaking with mistakes, writing incorrectly, or failing to understand a text can feel discouraging. Yet, each struggle is refining your inner gold. Each correction, each effort to speak, each attempt to understand something new is a step toward mastery. Pain in learning is not punishment, it is part of transformation. The more we embrace difficulty with patience and reflection, the more confident and skilled we become. Discipline is key to this process. Santiago could not reach his treasure by chance. He had to walk, think, observe, and act consistently. Discipline turns repeated effort into growth. In English learning, discipline means daily reading, speaking, writing, and listening. Even small, repeated actions accumulate. Each challenge, like a misunderstood word or a long sentence, becomes a refining fire. Discipline transforms struggle into achievement. Perspective also shapes transformation. Santiago learned to see obstacles not as enemies, but as lessons. A harsh desert sun taught endurance. A wrong path taught attention. Fear taught courage. The way we view difficulty determines whether it crushes us or lifts us. In English learning, this is the same. A misunderstood story is not failure. A mispronounced word is not defeat. Each challenge is a teacher guiding us toward improvement. Perspective turns pain into power. Reflection completes the alchemy. Santiago often paused to think about his experiences, to find meaning in pain, and to plan his next steps. Reflection transforms effort into understanding. In English learning, after a difficult exercise or a mistake, pause. Ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I improve? What did I do well? Reflection turns every moment of struggle into a step toward growth, knowledge, and confidence. Pain also teaches empathy. Santiago's hardships helped him understand the fears, struggles, and dreams of others. In life and language learning, empathy connects us to people, ideas, and cultures. Understanding your own struggle helps you appreciate others' journeys, their words, and their experiences. Language becomes not just words, but a bridge of connection. The alchemy of change shows us that weakness and pain are not enemies. They are guides, teachers, and catalysts for growth. Santiago's journey teaches that every challenge, every fear, every difficult step carries hidden treasure. Life's hardships refine character, wisdom, and courage. In English learning, each difficult word, each misunderstood sentence, and each mistake refines your inner gold, turning struggle into knowledge and effort into achievement. So, when pain comes, welcome it as a teacher. Face weakness with courage. Observe difficulties with discipline and perspective. reflect on lessons learned. Each step you take, even in discomfort, transforms you into a stronger, wiser person. The desert of challenge is not empty. It is full of treasure, waiting for you to turn it into gold. And as we continue this journey, remember, every challenge in life and in language is an opportunity for the alchemy of change. Faith in the journey, when the path seems unclear. The path may seem invisible. We take steps forward, but the road ahead is dark, uncertain, or confusing. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, faced these moments often. The desert stretched endlessly, and the treasure seemed far away. He asked himself, "Am I on the right path? Will I ever find what I seek?" Doubt is natural in every journey. We all face times when the end is unclear, when progress is hidden, and when fear whispers that our effort is wasted. Faith is the opposite of doubt. Faith is believing in the journey, even when we cannot see the destination clearly. Santiago learned that the path does not always show itself at once. He could not know every obstacle or every guide ahead, but he trusted the lessons he had learned, the omens, and his heart's desire. Faith is not blind. It is calm, patient, and steady. It allows us to continue walking even when uncertainty surrounds us. The darkest night is before the dawn. This simple phrase carries deep wisdom. Often, the moment before progress or clarity is the hardest. Santiago felt lost in the desert, exhausted and unsure, yet that was the moment when learning, growth, and guidance appeared. In life, challenges may feel endless, but patience and trust allow light to appear. Doubt may cloud the mind, but faith illuminates the way forward. The journey itself, not just the destination, teaches strength, patience, and wisdom. In English learning, the same principle applies. Progress is often invisible. You may practice for weeks, months, or years and feel that nothing changes. Words may still be difficult, sentences may still confuse, and conversations may still be awkward. This is the dark night. Yet, each small effort, reading a paragraph, speaking a few sentences, listening carefully, is part of unseen progress. Just as Santiago's steps in the desert were shaping his courage, each word practiced in English shapes understanding, fluency, and confidence. Faith keeps you moving, even when results are not immediately visible. Trusting the journey also means accepting the process. Santiago could not rush his lessons. Each encounter, each challenge, each moment of waiting was part of his growth. Similarly, learning English requires patience. Mispronunciations, forgotten words, and misunderstandings are not failures. They are part of the path. Faith allows learners to see the bigger picture, that small, daily actions accumulate into meaningful progress. The journey itself is teaching, even when it feels slow. Faith also strengthens resilience. Santiago faced storms, sand, and moments of fear, but he did not give up. Each step, no matter how difficult, built confidence and wisdom. In life and in learning, challenges are not reasons to stop. They are reasons to trust in our ability to continue. When we persist, we discover new solutions, learn new skills, and grow stronger. Doubt may make the path seem longer, but faith ensures we keep walking. Reflection is an essential companion to faith. Santiago often paused to consider what he had learned, what challenges he had faced, and what guidance had appeared along the way. Reflecting allows us to recognize progress that is not immediately visible. In English learning, after reading, speaking, or listening, pause, Think about the words, phrases, or ideas you have absorbed. Notice improvements, no matter how small. Reflection turns invisible steps into visible growth. Faith in the journey does not mean ignoring obstacles. Santiago observed, listened, and acted carefully. Faith means moving forward with patience, awareness, and trust. It means understanding that the path may twist, difficulties may appear, and the treasure may seem hidden, but perseverance brings progress. Life, like learning a language, rewards those who trust the process and continue with steady effort. So, when the path seems unclear, take a deep breath. Acknowledge doubt, but choose faith. Keep walking, practicing, and learning. Trust that each step matters, even if you cannot see the result. Remember Santiago, who crossed deserts and faced storms, guided by signs, patience, and heart. Each small action, each careful choice, each moment of persistence carries you forward. The journey is alive with learning, growth, and hidden treasure. Progress is always happening, even when unseen, and faith allows us to move with courage, hope, and trust toward the light at the end of the path. The return, finding the treasure at home. It feels strange to return to where the journey began. Santiago, the young shepherd in The Alchemist, traveled across deserts, cities, and mountains. He faced dangers, met teachers, and learned lessons that shaped his heart and mind. Yet, in the end, he returned home. At first, it seemed disappointing. How could the treasure be near the place he had left behind? Searching for treasure often takes us far away, but discovery sometimes waits quietly at the beginning. Searching versus discovering, this is one of life's greatest contrasts. We often look outside for happiness, success, or understanding. We think that new places, people, or possessions will give us what we lack. Santiago, too, thought the treasure was in a distant land, hidden under gold or jewels. Yet his journey taught him that the real treasure is not always physical. It is wisdom, courage, understanding, and love, the qualities he discovered within himself along the way. Searching for gold became a journey of self-discovery. The treasure had been within him all along. This realization can feel both simple and profound. Simple because we often overlook it. Profound because it changes how we see life. We discover that the power to act, to love, and to grow was inside us from the start. Santiago's journey mirrors the journey of life and learning. In English learning, we may search for perfect methods, fluent teachers, or advanced courses, thinking that the treasure of fluency lies outside. Yet, the real treasure is the practice, reflection, patience, and courage we carry inside. Every word learned, every sentence spoken, and every step of practice is proof of the treasure we already hold. Discovery comes from reflection. Santiago paused, thought, and realized the treasure was at home, buried under a tree near where his journey began. His adventures gave him understanding, courage, and wisdom, qualities that allowed him to recognize the treasure he already had. Similarly, reflection in learning and life helps us notice our growth. Each mistake corrected, each conversation practiced, and each idea understood is part of the treasure. When we pause to see how far we have come, we feel gratitude and confidence. The treasure within is also about self-belief. Santiago believed in his dream, followed omens, and overcame fear. These actions shaped him more than any gold could. In life, our inner qualities, resilience, patience, courage, empathy, are the real treasures. In English learning, self-belief works the same way. Confidence in speaking, curiosity in reading, and persistence in practicing transform learning into mastery. The treasure is not in perfection. It is in the growth we cultivate along the journey. Returning home also teaches humility. Santiago had thought the journey was about reaching an external goal, but he realized the journey itself, the experiences, and the lessons were equally valuable. Life and learning follow the same pattern. We may chase external success, fluent conversations, or impressive achievements, but the most important gains are internal: understanding, wisdom, and self-knowledge. Every challenge faced, every fear overcome, and every step taken builds the treasure within. Awareness deepens the discovery. Santiago recognized that he could see and value what he could not notice before. The desert had tested him, love had guided him, and pain had taught him strength. In learning English, awareness allows us to notice progress that seems small but is meaningful. We see how our vocabulary grows, our confidence increases, and our understanding deepens. The treasure is in these subtle transformations, in the quiet mastery that comes from consistent effort. The contrast between searching and discovering reminds us that sometimes the greatest lessons come full circle. The journey outward, with its challenges and adventures, prepares us to understand and appreciate what is already within. Santiago returned home not empty-handed, but full of wisdom, love, courage, and clarity. Life, language, and personal growth often work this way. The path outward teaches us to recognize and cherish the treasure we carry from the beginning. So, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Look at your efforts, your practice, your courage, and your learning. Notice the inner growth you have achieved. The treasure has always been within you: your curiosity, your discipline, your heart, and your mind. The adventures, the mistakes, and the challenges were all steps toward discovering it. As we continue to learn English and live fully, remember that searching brings lessons, but discovering brings understanding, gratitude, and peace. Your treasure, like Santiago's, is already inside, waiting to be recognized, appreciated, and shared. The eternal journey, living with purpose and wisdom. An ending feels final. Santiago reached his treasure, the desert journey was complete, and the lessons seemed to have a natural conclusion. Yet endings are never truly endings. They are beginnings in disguise. Each chapter of life, each story read, each language learned opens a new path. The contrast between end and beginning reminds us that life is a continuous journey. Santiago's story did not end at the treasure. It marked the start of living with wisdom, courage, and purpose. Every ending carries the seed of a new adventure. The lessons learned, the fears faced, and the strength gained become the foundation for future growth. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Life challenges us, teaches us, and prepares us for what comes next. Santiago's treasure was not just gold, it was knowledge, self-awareness, and love. With these treasures, he could continue his journey confidently. In our own lives, every lesson, every word learned, and every challenge overcome prepares us for the next step, whether in language learning, relationships, or personal goals. Living with purpose means acting with intention. Santiago did not wander without thought. He pursued dreams aligned with his heart and values. In English learning, purpose is equally important. When we know why we read, speak, and practice, every effort becomes meaningful. Learning a new word, understanding a sentence, or sharing an idea in English is not just practice. It is a step toward expressing who we are and connecting with the world. Purpose transforms small daily actions into a lifetime of growth. Wisdom is another treasure we carry forward. Santiago's journey taught him patience, observation, courage, and empathy. These lessons extend beyond the story. Wisdom comes from reflecting on experience, listening to the world, and learning from both success and failure. In English learning, wisdom shows when we notice patterns, apply lessons, and communicate thoughtfully. Words are not just vocabulary, they are tools for understanding, connection, and insight. Each sentence read and spoken carries the potential to deepen knowledge and enrich life. The eternal journey also reminds us to share what we learn. Santiago's experiences were meaningful not only for himself, but for others he met along the way. Life and learning are amplified when shared. By teaching, speaking, or simply expressing ideas in English, we pass wisdom forward. Sharing helps us remember, clarify, and inspire. Communication becomes a bridge connecting our inner growth to the world outside. Every conversation, every story told, and every lesson shared continues the journey. Dreams are always alive. Even when one goal is reached, new dreams appear. The journey of Santiago shows that following our heart is ongoing. Learning English is similar. Reaching one level of understanding is not the final stop. There are always new words to learn, stories to read, and ideas to express. Each new step is part of the eternal journey, a chance to grow, reflect, and connect. Endings transform into beginnings, and every new chapter is an opportunity to live with purpose and wisdom. As we close this story, remember that learning, dreaming, and reflecting are not separate paths. Reading The Alchemist, exploring philosophy, and practicing English are all part of one timeless journey. Every lesson learned is a step toward self-discovery. Every challenge faced builds strength, and every word spoken connects hearts. Life is an endless adventure, and we are all travelers. With courage, patience, awareness, love, and purpose, we continue this journey, ever learning, ever growing, and ever moving toward the treasures that lie within and beyond. The journey is eternal. The treasure is eternal. And the wisdom we carry today will guide every step of tomorrow. Keep walking, keep learning, and let your heart and mind guide you on the path of destiny and dreams.